we told you it's been a few months ago now, about this scandal in the Mercer Island school district. So it involves a former teacher named Gary Twombly. And the gist of it from Investigative West was that you had this beloved, celebrated, awarded teacher, got a bunch of awards from the teachers union, and he was accused twice of sexual misconduct with students, but the district kept it secret from parents. And that was the underlying sort of story there, and it was very disturbing. Well, now it looks like they have a second case of this in the Mercer Island School District. This a follow-up from Investigate West. I want people to know he's done this. Student alleges sexual misconduct by another Mercer Island teacher, high school English teacher Curtis Johnson, who abruptly retired in August, is the second teacher accused of sexual misconduct in recent months. And again, this is another instance based on the evidence collected by Investigate West of the school district seeking to cover it up. And some of this is truly disgusting, should lead to, I would honestly say that there should be laws against this. The amount of cover up, and how is there not? School districts are mandatory reporters. And the extent that Investigate West found that the school district went to cover up for this teacher, it should be a crime. And maybe it is. So let's read a little bit of this reporting. In August 2011, Curtis Johnston, pictured there left, was called to a meeting at the Mercer Island School District's administrative office. Rumors had been swirling that the 44-year-old high school English teacher was in a romantic relationship with a teenage student. The student's mom had voiced concerns to the principal, but feared she lacked evidence. Friends had grown suspicious, as did a church counselor who reached out directly to the school. The two had been seen leaving her car after a school charity event. She had become Johnston's teaching assistant halfway through the semester after a school trip overseas where they spent 2 days alone together while she was in the hospital. He was seen leaving prom with her. He attended her graduation party. Yet the purpose of the meeting, according to school records, was, quote, to protect Curtis and the district. Yes, you heard that correctly. So school records going back to August 2011, obtained by Investigative West, you see it on your screen there. The title was Personnel Meeting, 8311, District Office. It had a list of the people who would be present. And the first line of it is, goal of the day, to protect Curtis and the district. That's insane. Every person involved in that should be fired. Every person involved in that should be fired. And the evidence here is pretty overwhelming. So it says, when the former student signed up to travel to Cambodia and Vietnam in spring 2011 for a trip with 24 other students and teachers from Mercer Island High School, she was excited to see a different part of the world and get out of the Mercer Island bubble. But just after a few days in Cambodia, she got sick and had to be hospitalized. While the rest of the group continued to Vietnam, the student stayed behind with Johnston for 3 days. She had never had him as a teacher, but he was well known among students for his college advising business and for organizing international trips. She says they talked about photography, which they both enjoyed, and the student's recent struggles after losing her dad. The student recalled, I was in a state of feeling very lost. That's when he sort of swooped in. That's what predators do. Not long after, he invited her over to his apartment. At first, it felt like a friendship, she said, but about a month after they returned from Vietnam, they had sex. And you can't have sex. He raped her. I mean, you cannot consent in a situation like that. The two often drove to secluded parking lots or met at his apartment. She recalled him caressing her legs under his desk in a shared school office, a popular student hangout that was often referred to as the man cave. The office, a converted storage closet that only had one door and window, got its namesake for a period of time because only male teachers had desks there. After prom, Johnston was seen leaving with the student. She had undergone surgery the day before and wasn't feeling well. The student told Investigate West that they had gone back to his apartment, where she fell asleep because of all the meds she was on. Her mom said she stayed up for hours, calling her daughter repeatedly, worried something had happened. The next morning, the student told her mom that she had been at an after party. So understanding that is really important. If you can go back to that really quick, Nicole. to understand the lies that were told in the cover-up. So Johnston was seen by other students leaving prom with this student. This student says, we went back to his apartment. The mom was calling, doesn't have any clue where the daughter is. That's what she tells Investigate West. And the student says, I lied to my mom the next day. I said I was at an after party. Now, during the investigation, this is what Johnston told the school principal. In July 2011, Johnson told Harrison, the principal, that the student's mom had asked him to drive her daughter home after prom. So he tells the school, nope, the mom told me to drive her home. He claims that he drove her straight home and knew her address because she had dog sat for him the month prior. During the drive, he gave her teacher dad-like advice because she was upset. So he tells the school, nope, I took her straight home. Mom asked me to. And the mom's saying, she didn't come home that night. I called her all night. And the girl's saying, yeah, I was at his house. School records show that the two came up with a list of talking points. So this is back to the school records about the meeting and how they would, quote, protect Curtis and protect the school. It says school records show the two came up with a list of talking points Johnston should stick to if other students or parents brought up their relationship. So some of the talking points included that it was just a rumor, that it was disappointing how kids were coming after him after he'd worked so hard, and that he was just a friend of the student's family. So again, this is literally from the list of talking points from school records. So if you're asked about this by other people, say it was just a rumor that started up at the end of the year. It's just crazy. It says not long after Johnson was disciplined, the student left for college and he flew to visit her for the first time. So there is so much ample evidence here that, again, if you believe what the girl is saying, and there's some other evidence in there that, like, he knew right where she lived and all of these things. Spent time alone with her on this trip overseas. And I think the really, like, absolute have him dead to rights is the personnel meeting that says goal of the day to protect Curtis and the district. No, your goal should never be to protect the district. Your goal should never be to protect the teacher. Your goal should be to get to the truth. That's what that first line should have said. Personnel meeting. Goal of the day. Get to the truth. And this is exactly why, one of many, many reasons we need the Parental Bill of Rights. Here they are colluding behind the scenes. And I'm not saying the Parental Bill of Rights would stop every instance of a school district trying to collude behind the scenes and hide things from parents, because I'm sure that will still happen. But at least it lets parents know what's happening, that they have a right to know what's happening with their kids at school. They have a right to records. They have a right to all of these things. And one of the reasons you need it is because we have proof that school districts do stuff like this. Because this is the mindset of school districts. Saying we got to protect teachers. We have to protect the district. And the mindset of a school district isn't we have to protect kids. That's why it's so important that parents can protect kids. Because some school districts aren't interested in doing that. It's crazy. It's absolutely disgusting.